We human beings live in a very complex ecosystem, and there's a dynamic equilibrium between what grows in our intestinal tract and what's in the external world and what's in our internal world. And by that, what I mean is that that intestinal tract that has these trillions of microbes in there is very important to our health. It regulates how healthy we can be from the point of view of our immune system, but also it regulates how we digest food, how we keep toxins out, how we absorb things from what we eat that can get into our body and then to where it needs to go. A study in the University of Maryland showed that there are at least 26 microbes that live in the intestinal tract that regulate how our body deals with sugar, about how it deals with insulin sensitivity and resistance. It actually affects our blood pressure, our triglycerides, and our cholesterol, and what we weigh. And the question that comes to mind is, how does this work? Does the flora, the microflora that lives in the intestinal tract, change over time, or is it sensitive to diet and to things that we do, like get infected by microbes, or how we digest food, or things such as stress and antibiotics? The answer is it does change a lot, and it is a very flexible thing. It adapts to what it needs to be depending on what the health of our body is and how we treat it, what we put in it. What do these gut microbes do? They're very important in the metabolism of certain hormones so that we don't have levels that are too high or too low. They metabolize carcinogens, so they get rid of them a lot of the time. They take care of a lot of the things that we eat that's in our food that are toxic, the pesticides and other things that you don't want there. They're also important to synthesize things like vitamin K and vitamin B6 and B5 and biotin, all things that we need to have. They make the butyric acid, the butyrate that we have to have, that supplies fuel to the colon so that it can survive and do its work as it should. That microflora crowd out microbes that you don't want there, like salmonella and shigella and other kinds of infections that we get there. And it also regulates the production of antibodies, the secretory immunoglobulin A antibodies that are made by the surface lining of the intestinal wall. So there's a lot that we're learning about the relationship between the microbes that live there and diseases such as asthma and autoimmune diseases and inflammation in general. And we're also learning the kinds of things that modify the flora that are in the gut. And to our shock, we're finding this complex system that requires at least 26 microbes in the gut that are linked to how our body deals with what we eat. It's a remarkably complex thing that gives us maybe more faith that we should be sticking close to nature, meaning that we shouldn't be making foods that are artificial, that are really no longer foods again. We should be eating natural things that if it looks like a food, it looks like a zucchini or a strawberry or a coconut, eat it. But if it's packaged and it has other things in it and it's been modified so that it's got preservatives and additives, chances are we're going to affect that ecosystem in our intestinal tract, and that we're finding is going to make changes in our weight and so many other things that we'll talk about another time.